All right, Mob, welcome back to the cream of the crop, 4th and 31 podcast, your one-stop shop for all things college and SEC football. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss 1 minute. I'm your host, part of the Killer Bees broadcast team, the Chad Bullock. With me tonight, the man, the myth, the legend, the coach, Bo, and the man that signs all the paychecks, the boss, Scott. Mob, what a weekend we had. A little bit of heartbreak in Tuscaloosa as Oklahoma keeps their playoff hopes alive. We had one hell of a comeback in College Station, and that's where I want to start, is this comeback in College Station. At halftime, guys, I had A&M buried. I had the casket already tailor-made for the Yankees. They punched right through it, and it seems like Elko had the game. If you ever played NCAA football, it was like he had it on Heisman in the first half and said, screw this, let's go to JV. That's what it looked like to me. Bo, what you got?
Man, I tell you, I had my 4 boxes going. I was watching 4 games at one time, and one of those 4 was Texas A&M, and that was one of the most god-awful messes I've ever seen from a team ranked that high. The penalties, the turnovers, drop passes. I mean, it was just an absolute just horror show in the first half for A&M. And I took them out of one of my boxes and replaced them with another game. And then A&M came right out and scored. And then they got the ball back and scored again. And I said, oh, let me put them back on my box. So I watched them complete the comeback in the second half when they were only down 14. And I'm going to tell you, that was some kind of a clinic Marcel Reed put on in the second half. Unbelievable. He was absolutely magnificent in that second half. You couldn't ask for a quarterback to play a more horrible first half. Some of it his fault, some of it not. I mean, he threw a couple passes in that first half. I mean, he threw an interception in the end zone, and then they went back down there on another drive and dropped a pass in the end zone. I mean, just a comedy of errors. So much they did wrong, and in the second half could do nothing wrong. And South Carolina, who could do no wrong in the first half, couldn't do anything right in the second half. And I think that was a perfect microcosm of the way those two teams' seasons have gone, and why the rumblings are getting a little bit louder each week for Shane Beamer to exit Columbia, South Carolina. But Lenore Sellers, amazing first half, nothing in the second half. I mean, it's just so inconsistent, that South Carolina team. It's like you see it and you can see the talent. And the Harbor kid, I mean, he's a phenomenal talent. He's going to play in the NFL. Sellers going to play in the NFL. You know, that defensive line is still really good. But they haven't been able to put full games together. And we've kind of seen that all year from the Gamecocks.
Yeah, you want to talk about a tale of two halves. 31-3, 4 turnovers for A&M, and they come right out to shoot 28-0 in the second half. I mean, it was unbelievable. Boss, what you got?
Same. I mean, Coach hit it up nicely. I mean, it was a tale of two games. I mean, the first half was completely different than the second. I had this in the bag for South Carolina. Halftime, I'm thinking this is over. This is done. I kept telling myself this is an exact example of overlooking. They were already preparing for the next game. And it showed. And then I don't know, I guess halftime, they got the adjustments. They said stop playing around with teams for real. They come in here to beat us. We're at home. And they're just sitting here just dog walking us. So, I mean, I can only imagine what that halftime talk from the coach was about. It worked. Whatever it was, it worked. And because it was a completely different game in the second half, and A&M came back. Best comeback I've ever seen. Wasn't that the best or the biggest comeback ever in the history of college football? That was wild.
It's certainly one of the biggest. I know there was a big one where Maryland came back and beat Miami. They were down like a similar score. It might even have been more, but ironically, the quarterback was Frank Reich. And Frank Reich was the engineer of when the Buffalo Bills came back on the Houston Oilers, now Tennessee Titans, in that playoff game, and it was the same scenario. Both teams were up big, and the team that was down came right out of the gate in the second half and tightened the game back up so fast. And, it's funny because when you're in games like that and that momentum switches that fast, it's so hard to get it back. And, it's South Carolina, the same way much the Oilers in that game, they were never able to make a play to turn the game back in their favor.
Yeah, and Mob, let us know in the comments, did you turn this game off at halftime? Because I got disinterested in it because of the score. Let us know if you sat through it and watched that miraculous comeback by the A&Ms. I think I kind of called this game a little bit. I said South Carolina would win the first quarter. They ended up winning the first half, and A&M came back and won. So that's probably one of the only games I got right this weekend as we move on here. All right, guys, let's go to Ole Miss and Florida. Florida gets the win, or Ole Miss gets the win 34-24, which was, I kind of called this one too. I thought if Florida could hang around for a little bit like they did in the first half, they were actually up. By 4 at halftime, and Ole Miss came back with 2 touchdowns in the fourth. Bo, what you got?
Yeah, a lot of the pundits outside the SEC, they will sit there and they will argue because Florida has already fired their coach and they're not having a good year, that they're a terrible football team, and the fact that they were able to stay close with Georgia and now with Ole Miss, who are both going to the college football playoff, shows the quote-unquote weakness of the SEC. But it actually shows the strength of the SEC because Florida, while they have not had a good year, and Billy Napier would tell you this, and I like Billy as a coach. I mean, he was on Alabama staff, helped us win a natty, a Saban guy. He would tell you he did not do a good job at Florida. He did a good job of settling the program down, amassing a pool of talent, but it did not translate to on the field. He would tell you that. Then you go watch Florida play, and you're like, how in the world is this team not winning? That they are so good in so many spots on that team. They've got speed. The backs are good. Lagway had a good game. The line played well. The defense has been good all year. And for you watch a team like that has that much talent and has had a bad year, I think speaks to the strength of the Southeastern Conference. And that was a good win. Don't let the score fool you in that one. That's a good win for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss.
Yeah, and then Chambliss had a great game in that one. 26 of 35, 301. He had a touchdown and 1 interception. Boss, what you got?
What a game. I got to give it to Florida. I know they lost the game, but man, I didn't see that coming. If you watched last week's show, I just had Ole Miss dog walking them. And Lagway came out, like Bo said, he had a great game. Everything about Florida looked good, and it just reminded us of who they really are, man, and how much talent they really have. So it was good to see. Obviously, Ole Miss won the game. We all picked them to win. But I just got to give it to Florida on this one. Again, I know it's an L, and that's moral victories, but it was good for Florida, man. I really enjoyed it. It was a good game.
Hey, and I'll tell you something else. The only thing that didn't surprise me in that game was that maybe, just maybe, Kiffin had already signed a secret contract with Florida, and that at halftime he didn't switch sides because everybody's already got him pegged to go to Florida. But the irony of all of that is he said, you know what? I took a Division II quarterback and I kicked your butt, Florida. I may not need you.
Yeah, and I still think the story of that would have been if Florida would have won and Lane Kiffin rides off into the sunset and goes to Florida. That would have been comedic gold. But it didn't happen.
Well, yeah.
All right, boys, let's move on. Notre Dame 37, Pitt 15. I think we all kind of figured this game was going to get ugly, and boy did it in the first half. Boss, what you got?
Yeah, when we talked about this the other night, we knew how this was going to turn out. I was hoping Pitt would give them a fight. Didn't happen. This game was like watching paint dry. I watched the entire game from front to end, and it was just not entertaining. It was rather boring. honestly. Pitt gave nothing. And Bo's going to mention this in a minute, but he had already this one was already laid out beforehand. So
And
that's it.
And credit to Love, 23 carries, 147 and a touchdown. And in case nobody knew this, a running back has won the Heisman every year that's ended in a 5. Bo, what you got?
Well, just as a casual observer of college football and someone who just loves the sport, if I were a defensive, of course, when it comes down to it, it's about Jimmy's and Joe's, guys. It's about your guys against their guys. And in the 2 games that Notre Dame has played where the guys can match up, they haven't had as much success. But when I watch Notre Dame play, to me, from a defensive perspective, they've got to be one of the easiest teams to defend. They're going to run Jeremiah Love a bunch. They're going to take that good now the receiver's good. I forget his name, number 0. But he's going to run routes outside the numbers. That's about all he does. It's either going to be a go route, a fade stop, or a curl. And then they're going to take the number 9 tight end. They're going to drag him across the field. And if those 2 are covered, they're just going to check it down to Love. And then they're just going to keep running Love and keep running Love. And then Carr's going to, about 4 or 5 times a game, is going to do something really stupid. But fortunately for Notre Dame, their schedule has been such that they've been able to get bailed out by, the mistakes not amounting to a whole bunch. But as Scott was mentioning, Pat this game was over before it started because Pat Narduzzi said he didn't give a rip about this game. It didn't matter if Notre Dame scored 100 points. It didn't matter. The only 2 that matter are this week. And, I mean, that was such a sham going into that game, and Pitt kind of played like it. I mean, they were very sloppy. I mean, Notre Dame made several mistakes in that game, and they intercepted a pass, ran it down to the 5-yard line, kicked the field goal. They had another time they got down on the goal line, got stopped on downs. I mean, they were just very, very sloppy in some of the stuff that they did. But moving forward, I watch Notre Dame. When they match up against one of these good playoff defenses, they're really going to struggle.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that works out. And I think we can talk about the AP poll a little bit later.
Yeah, but, I mean, to their credit, though, I mean, Love is good. Love is really good. And I mean, he can take the abuse and he can just pound it inside. But it just, in my opinion, I just think their offense is kind of so predictable. I think they're so limited in what they can do. Cause I mean, just as an example, number 9, a tight end, he's not really a downfield threat. 0's a big body, but he doesn't have that top end speed. So they're going to have a hard time backing off of Georgia or an Oklahoma or an Alabama or some of these good defenses, or even an Ohio State, some they may see in the playoff. I mean, they're good for what they're doing, but when they play those top-level teams that have like 8 and 9 NFL defensive guys scattered out all over the place, it's going to be a lot tougher for them.
So any love for the Heisman for Love? Boss? No. Bo?
I mean, maybe. I mean, they may give him the courtesy invite. I mean, because after all, he does play at Notre Dame. And if you are in the backfield at Notre Dame, you are automatically on the Heisman list before the season even starts. So they allow you multiple bad games before you cancel yourself out. With the full weight of NBC behind them, the SEC always gets bashed. It's a conspiracy between ESPN and ABC. Nobody ever talks about how the fact that Notre Dame's got the full weight of NBC behind them. Nobody ever even mentions that. So, yeah, he'll probably get an invite. No, he won't win.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's move to the only other non-conference game that we picked last week, Iowa, USC. Iowa, you let me down again. I had it. I told you that you were going to win. You were up at halftime. All you had to do was score once or not give up all those points, man. I'm heartbroken. I feel like a jaded lover right now. But USC gets the win, 26-21. Boss, what you got on this one? I'm heartbroken.
I am too. I was going for Iowa. I was really hoping they'd win. I thought they would. I did. I picked them to win too. Brant laughed at us and said USC was so much better. I don't know about that, but he definitely called it. USC won the game, but I don't have a whole lot to say about this game. Wasn't important, so I'll be honest. I didn't pay too much attention to it. I just watched the score. So I'll pass this one off to Coach.
All right, Bo.
Yeah, Iowa just couldn't get much going in the second half. I mean, they had a 21-7 lead going into half, and I don't think they scored another point the rest of the game.
They did.
And the conditions were, the conditions were absolutely perfect. I mean, it rained for 2 straight days out there. They played in a driving rainstorm. When was the last time you saw USC play in the Coliseum in the rain? It was perfect for Iowa. And they freaking blew it again because they're so limited on offense because yet again, another Big Ten team that doesn't have a quarterback and they have to play 3 yards in a cloud of dust to try to move the football. Now, I will give Kirk Ferentz credit for them to be as competitive as they are with the limitations that they have on offense is truly a testament how good that he and his staff are. They have a quality football staff because they've always been a recruit and develop program. They've never gotten high draft. They've never gotten high big recruits. The biggest recruit to ever come out of the state of Iowa is currently playing left tackle at Alabama, Caden Proctor. So they don't get those guys. They have to recruit and develop. And when you take a school like that, in the NIL era, they probably don't have a ton of money to spend. And yet here they are, week in, week out, just grinding and keeping that same mentality and that same toughness. But good gracious, if they could ever have a functioning offense with that defense, they could be so dang good. They really could.
Yeah, I agree. It's heartbreaking. I picked them. I felt like they got to win one of these games, and then you kind of crap the bed in the second half. I don't know if I'm going to be able to recover from this.
Yeah, and just one more thing on Iowa. Iowa's one of those teams, shockingly, even being from way down here down south, I've always had a ton of respect for Iowa because of what they do and how they have to do it and the manner in which they do it in. And they always put a quality product on the field. It's just every time they go out there, they're going out there with one arm tied behind their back.
Yeah, they seem to always do more with less.
Yeah, without question. Without question. Kirk Ferentz, quietly over the last 25 years, one of the best jobs in college football, period.
Yep. All right, let's get to the 2 big ones here. The one I completely whiffed on. Last time I gave you 2 reasons why Texas would win, and that blew up. So, Mob, let me have it in the comments. I'm a big boy. I can take it. UGA just absolutely mollywops Texas, 35-10. I mean, I know they scored majority in the fourth quarter, but I don't think that I felt like Texas was going to win that game at any part in that game. Boss, what you got?
Which game is that?
UGA and Texas.
Yeah, that one, undoubtedly best game of the week. This was not Manning's fault. I thought Manning played a heck of a game. Georgia's defense is just getting better each and every week. They didn't have to play the Jason Voorhees role last night. They were able to just kind of coast, dominate the line of scrimmage. But Manning held in there. He didn't do anything wrong. None of this L is not on him. Stockton played very well. Georgia's offense, I thought, looked really good. Very mixed. They were balanced. They ran when they wanted to run. They ran well. They threw when they needed to. So Texas defense, I guess, could have been a little better. But this was a great game. I enjoyed watching it. This was, considering the fact that the game I watched right before this one, made me feel a little bit better about the day. Not that I was pulling for either one of these guys, but great game. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and to your point about Manning, he did go 27 or 43 for 251 yards. So again, that was not on him because he had some stinkers in the past. And to your point about Stockton, he was very efficient, 24, 29, 229, and 4 touchdowns, which is probably one of his better games that he's had. Bo, what you got?
The onside kick was phenomenal. That play right there ended that game. Texas gets the turnover they need. Because, look, Texas's defense is high level. They got NFL guys all over that defense. They're really good. And they get the big turnover, and then they go down and punch it in. It's 14-10. I was like, all right, here we go. Let's go. And then Georgia goes right down and scores. Onside kick, ball game over. Right there. You could just see the Texas sideline. You could see that play really sucked the life out of that team. Now, I will say this for Texas, a couple things. Number one, they've got to upgrade the talent around Arch. Several drops, offensive line plays not very good. No running game to help them out. I mean, I thought Arch was pretty dang good last night. I thought he was pretty good. Georgia, in my opinion, this is what I think. Texas. Texas is going through this year what Georgia went through last year. 2 years ago, when they had all those weapons, all that talent, Brock Bowers, all those guys that had been there and starting for, 3 and 4 years together. Well, they all left at one time, and Georgia had a big turnover in their roster on the offensive side, including the offensive line. So the offensive side of the ball wasn't as good last year, and the defense could only carry them so far. But even in that playoff game against Notre Dame, they only gave up like 240 yards of offense. I mean, it wasn't like the defense was bad. They couldn't sustain anything on offense. Well, flip the scripts. Well, now Georgia has more seasoned guys. Georgia did a little bit more retooling. Their offense is explosive, and the defense is Georgia defense. Now, Kirby knows how to coach in these spots. So it's like the NFL now. It's like the Kansas City Chiefs for years. Maybe not this year, but in years past. If you're going to beat Kansas City, you're going to beat them in the first 8 games. Because those last 8 games, they know how to play through the longevity of the season and play the long game. And they're going to lose a couple here and there that maybe they shouldn't lose, but just like Georgia's the same way. They're going to kind of get on the ropes, just like last year. They took the loss to Ole Miss, and everybody's going, oh, my God, Georgia's done. No, they weren't. They just hadn't tightened the screws and turned it up yet. Same thing for this year. They took the loss early on. They took the loss to Bama at home, and everybody's going, oh, my goodness, Georgia's done. Or I don't even know if they're going to make the playoff now. Well, it's the same time of the year. Tighten the screws, crank up the volume. Georgia, right now, if you had to ask me who do I think would win the national championship if it were played this Saturday, and I would say the Georgia Bulldogs would. They have all the elements that you need. They're a battle-tested team. They've played a tough schedule. They've played in tough road environments. They've got elite, high-level quarterback play. They've got elite coaching. They're excellent on both lines of scrimmage, and they have a playmaking defense that understands situational football. You put all that together, that sounds like a champion to me, boys.
Yeah, and to Georgia's credit, they didn't play like Jorson Voorhees. They played like Art the Clown from Terrifier. They just went out and just destroyed.
They just went out and just destroyed from the jump.
Yes,
from the jump.
Yeah,
they grabbed a hold of that. Yeah, they grabbed a hold of that game quick. And even though it was 14-10, I was watching that game and I was like, Texas not going to win this game. Yeah. Georgia's playing this game just like they want it, and it's just a matter of time before they hit a play, and then bang, bang, and then before you know it, it's 35-10 and the game's over.
All right, boys, I'm going to pivot. I wanted to get to the main event so we can get to all the Bama hate. But I want to pivot just a little bit. Let's go to the group of 5 because this is getting interesting. Every week we have the 12-team lose. You have Memphis, now South Florida, lost to Navy. I mean, who wants it? And let's make an argument that the G5 shouldn't even have a spot at the table because this is going to be ugly. Whoever the 5 seed is going to basically get a bye week. Boss, what you got?
It's going to be very top heavy. I'm just going to talk about the playoff bracket. Very top heavy because I look at the group of 5. and I kind of mix them in with the ACC, right? What are we getting out of those two groups? Then you look at everybody else, you know. I don't know who's getting in on either one of those. And even if no matter who they put in, like, who cares? Like, I have no faith that any of them are going to do anything anyway. So again, this is going to be a very top-heavy bracket, and those guys in the back, there's no hope for them. Not with everybody else included. So yeah, I mean, that's all I got to say on that. Group of 5, ACC, it's the same. It's the same planet.
All right, Bo, what you got?
Boss, you make a great point there, because SMU last year walked right into the ACC from the group of 5 and just steamrolled the conference and went into the championship game. And it took them about the 5th mess up in that game before Clemson could finally actually end the game and win it. But as far as group of 5, I'm actually going to give you an answer. I think James Madison might have the door open now. These American teams have lost so many games now that I think James Madison has a legitimate shot to get in. Their only loss was, I think, a 14-point loss at Louisville, which now doesn't look as good. Now that if they could have beaten Clemson and won out, you can sit there and say, well, our only loss was to a 2-loss ACC team that, even though they didn't get to the championship game, they still had some quality wins. And then, we only have 1 loss. So, but I still think that team's going to come out of the American. I'm not sure who it's going to be at this point. I mean, Navy's back in the mix now, because now I believe they have 2 losses, but heck, the Memphis keeps losing, South Florida keeps losing, and I mean, Memphis lost too. They lost to East Carolina. They're out. So when it comes to the group of 5, I think James Madison's got a serious chance now to get in. I really do. It's not going to be anybody out west, even though San Diego State, they had a quality win over Boise the other night, but they had a bad loss 2 weeks ago. So I think they're probably out. And of those group of 5 teams that are still left, they may have the best win, and be in a blowout win over Cal. But I don't know. I don't know how that's going to shake out. I really don't. But honestly, I would rather see, even though Miami has no shot to win the ACC, but they can get an at-large, I would rather see Miami at 12 getting an at-large than any one of those teams that we've mentioned. Because, I mean, Miami still has NFL caliber players. They can give teams problems, and it would still be a good quality game. Because that's what I'm looking for in these playoffs. I mean, the playoffs last year were a joke. I mean, it was an absolute joke. So I would rather see like a Miami, or even a 3-loss. I would rather see a 3-loss Texas than any of those teams. Or if Oklahoma loses one of their next 2, a 3-loss Oklahoma, or even I dare you say, I would even, if of course we're ifing here, if Nebraska still had their quarterback in Dylan Raiola, I would rather see a 3-loss Nebraska in there. I mean, that's just how weak I think these G5 schools are now. I mean, that they're, last year it was clear. Boise, they went undefeated. They steamrolled their conference. I mean, even though you knew they didn't have much of a chance to win because they were pinning all their hopes on a running back and they were going to get smashed at the line of scrimmage. But at least it was emphatic every week. They were blowing all the competition out. That at least you could say, okay, yeah, they took everything that was in front of them and they left no doubt. But I mean, all these teams this year, it's, to me, they haven't even earned it in the regular season, so they shouldn't even get in.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all agree on that. All right, boys, to the main event, the mild upset in Tuscaloosa. Oklahoma goes in there and says, to heck with the black hoodie, to heck with the winning streak in Tuscaloosa. We're just going to do what we do, play good defense, and win this game. So OU wins 23-21. Scott, I'm going to let you go last. I know you probably have a little bit more to say about this. So, Bo, what you got?
first off, kudos to Brent Venables. I mean, he did a great job. I really thought that Alabama's offense, really they pretty much kind of got what they wanted most of the game. But I mean, it was the turnovers. It's all well documented. The 3 turnovers. There were three big special teams plays, all went Oklahoma's way. But to their credit, they forced most of that. I mean, it wasn't like you look at that game, and it wasn't like they were just so much better and they just really put it to Alabama. I mean, you look at the stat sheet, you look at the box score, it's like one of those games. You look at the box score and you look at the final score and you say, my goodness, it doesn't make much sense. But at key times in that game, Oklahoma made about 5 or 6 plays in that game. Big plays, all went their way. And that's why Oklahoma, they win their last 2 games are against Missouri and LSU at home. They should take care of business in those scenarios. And I saw a scenario that if they get into the playoffs, they would be the 7. It would play number 10 Notre Dame. They would hammer Notre Dame. That defense, Venables with 3 weeks to prepare, he'd be all over that Notre Dame offense. I would love to see that, just to watch Brent Venables put one of his masterpieces together. Because, I mean, here's a guy who's won multiple national championships, who has a top 5 national defense, and would get to play Notre Dame at home. Yeah, and you got a playmaker at quarterback who's getting a little bit healthier every week. Mateer looks like he's throwing the ball a little bit better every week. Looks like his hands getting a little bit better. But, great job to the Sooners. It was disappointing, but I look at that game as that was on Alabama for making the mistakes they made. Granted, a lot of it was forced by Oklahoma. Just one of those you just kind of go, oh well. And maybe that will get Bama's attention, because the last time they lost, they won 8 in a row, and they came out with a little fire in their eyes. So let's hope they can keep that up for 2 weeks, win that Iron Bowl, and get into that SEC championship game and then the playoff. I'm not so concerned about the SEC title. I'd rather not even play. I'd rather not play the SEC title and then play in the first round of the playoffs than play the SEC championship, take the long break, then get the bye, because we saw last year all 4 teams that had to bye got beat. Now, Granted, it's a totally different set of circumstances here, different teams and everything like that, but I wouldn't want that long of a break. Just as a coach, I would not want that long of a break. So, but we'll see how it all shakes out. Got to beat those War Eagles first.
Yeah, and I know Scott said the Georgia-Texas game was the best game of the weekend, but I mean, besides the score, this wasn't a bad game. It wasn't the outcome we wanted. So, boss, what you got?
Too many mistakes. Turnovers. I'm going to start off by clapping it up for Oklahoma. I mean, they brought it. If you watched last week's show, I said it. This defense, I consider them the number 1 defense in the country. Statistically, they're number 1 in a lot of different categories. For a reason. And they brought that down to Tuscaloosa Saturday, and you saw it in front of you. They laid it all out there. Defense played hard, man. So kudos to Oklahoma for coming down and taking care of business, because they sure did. But most importantly, they took advantage of situations they were, that they forced. We'll say that. I was going to say given, but we'll say forced, because a lot of those turnovers, they caused them. So, and then other things, they did. So it kind of goes both ways. But I'm giving Oklahoma their due right now. Now I will move on to Bama. Now, Todd Simpson. Everybody is constantly, and I said this last week, they're always one pick. He's only throwing 1 interception and 20-something touchdowns. He has now had 5 fumbles in 5 games in a row in the second half. Second half is clutch time. Now, I'm not trashing Todd. I have been a Todd fan. I wanted Todd to start last year. I have been a huge fan of him since he's been here, so I'm not throwing mud at Todd. I think Todd's playing well for the most part. It's those, but it always seems like these crucial times they're in clutch moments, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like it's always when the game's on the line, or the game's close, or it's third or fourth down, and we gotta have it. It's just he's holding on to the ball too long. Okay, he's got to, and I've been yelling that all year. That's been a thing all season. But now, the further we get into the season, it's not being corrected. You know, so it's like almost a regression that I'm watching here. It's like he's going backwards, and it's not all his fault. I'm only talking about him because he's the quarterback. I could sit here for 20 more minutes talking about other positions, but the quarterback, in my opinion, is the most important position on the field. So he gets all the praise when we win, and he gets all the doom when we lose. So it comes with the territory, right? He's the quarterback. But I put a lot of the coordinators. Now, I don't think a single player outside of Salty, we'll get into that in a minute, lost this game. I look at the coordinators. I look at Grubb, and sometimes I wonder what he's thinking. The play calling has been atrocious at times. Not every time. In fact, there was one play in this game, they faked it off to Proctor, and man, my eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. I was like, that was a good call, because the entire defensive line saw that and knew he was going to get the ball. And what did they do? I watched this game twice, and I laughed both times I watched it right there, because every defensive player is, they immediately noticed that he's back there. And they went right at him. And we faked it. And what happened? It was a successful play. So not every play call is questionable. In fact, it's just a select few. And I feel like they come at the most crucial times of the game. So that's where I'm at with Grubb right now. And I've been yelling fire Womack for half the season. But the further we get into the season, the more I love this defense. I credit this defense. If it wasn't for this defense, this loss would have been a heck of a lot worse. Those turnovers could have been a lot worse if it wasn't for our defense stepping up. Our defense is outstanding. And every week, I feel like we get better. And it's great because we're going now into... We got Auburn in 2 weeks. And I'm with Bo on this one. I don't want to play in the SEC championship game. Just get me to the playoffs. We can skip that all day long. The way they've done it with the divisions not being a thing, like that's when I started losing interest in that anyway. But now, since you've got playoff seeding and everything else, I feel like it's irrelevant. Can we just do away with the championship? I know old-fashioned, traditional folks aren't going to like that, but it's the modern day college football. Let's just do away with the SEC championship game. I don't know what you guys think about that. It's the way I feel.
Well, Coach or Boss, we didn't have a college football playoff until, was it 92? Or any kind of a conference championship playoff. There were no divisions or nothing. So they did it for 100 years without conference championship games.
Yeah.
And so then when the SEC went to divisions and went to conference championship games, that actually ushered in the new modern era of college football, where we started to get a format for a playoff system. And then 5-6 years later, we have the BCS. So well, that was in 98, wasn't it? The first BCS game was Tennessee, Florida State. I think it was either 98 or 99. And that was the first BCS game. So about 6 or 7 years later, we saw a playoff format, but that started it all. So now we have a new format. There's no reason why we can't change it up again. Because here's my biggest argument against the playoff format is that there are teams. Okay, take Georgia for example. 2 years ago, 2 years ago, Georgia goes finishes the regular season 12-0, undefeated, and their only loss, they were number one, and their only loss was in the SEC championship game 13, and then they went from number 1 to number 5. Georgia should have been in the playoff. Had we not had a playoff system, Bama beats Georgia, Bama goes, and then they were not going to leave Texas out because Texas beat Bama. And then Georgia got left out. They had won 18 games in a row, back-to-back championships, and then they lose to Bama. And then of course they weren't going to leave out Washington or Michigan. They were both undefeated. They weren't going to leave Michigan out, no matter how bad they cheated. But whatever. And then, everybody was screaming about Florida State being screwed. Florida State didn't get screwed. They were never going to get in to begin with. The one that got screwed was Georgia. They went from 1 to 5.
Yeah.
So, but my point is that we've changed the system, then we changed it again, and now it's changed again. We went from a playoff system. Well, we started realigning conferences and doing all of that. Then we started the championship series. Then we started the BCS series. Then we expanded it from 2 to 4. Now we've expanded it from 4 to 12. So, in the interest of college football, it only makes sense that you would change the format of league, because you think about that. That's an extra game. That's a 13th game. Then you may have to play in round 1 of the college football playoff, and then you got to win 4 games to win the championship. So that means you just played a 17-game season. So something's got to give. And I would also say this too, is if these teams that get into these championship games and they lose, that should not be used against them. Right. It should only be used to bolster their roster. To be able to bolster their resume. So, like for example, if you're number 9. And you go to the whatever league you're in, championship game, and lose, well, that shouldn't even count against you at all. I'm serious. Like, you didn't even play. Now, if you win, then you get the help because you're playing 1 extra game that none of these other teams were forced to play. So it shouldn't count against you. That should only be there to help you.
Yeah,
I agree.
100%. I agree. All right, Mob. We got time for one final thought, and that final thought will come from the Chad Bullock. Forgive me, Georgia, for I have sinned. I doubted the mighty Bulldogs at home. For whatever reason, I thought Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns had righted the ship and would go into Athens and put up a fight, and I was far from right. Probably the worst take I had over the weekend. So please let me have it in the comments. Ask me what I was thinking, because I don't even know what I was thinking. So we will end on that. For the boss, for Coach Bo, for the Chad Bullock, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit the bell. Don't ever miss a show. Tell me how much of an idiot I am. Peace out.